Hi. Ashley. Uh-oh. I'm getting, let's close that. Okay. Hi, everybody. Hey, it's been forever since I've been live on YouTube. Thank you so much. I might need to turn the brightness of my lighting down a bit. Let's see. Oh, that looks a lot better, warmer, cleaner. Perfection. I am so excited to talk to you all because we need to talk about the whole Kandi and Todd situation, Yandy and Mendice's situation, Ebony K. Williams on Carlos King, and the whole bus driver thing has come back up. So I'm excited to talk about it because I love having these talks with Black women, girls. I'm going to also post the invitation link in the comments. So you all can absolutely 100% come on if you're so inclined, not to argue, but if you have a different point of view, I would love to hear it. It is so that link you can use if you want to come up and discuss this with me. But let me tell you what I have going on today. Let me try to add a little bit of like warm lighting, if that helps. I don't know if that helps at all, but we'll see, because a lot of times this doesn't last. But I'm very excited to talk because we need to talk. It's been forever since we've had a chat, and I'm just very excited to do so. Um, Big thing number one we need to talk about is, and I believe my mic, I hope my mic is working fine. Let me actually just check the playback really quick so we don't have any troubles there. Give me one moment. I'm still here with y'all. I'm very excited to talk about Black women dating down. It has to stop, and you all deserve so much better. As a matter of fact, that's what I'll do. I'll run the intro, and of course, it's been forever since I've been here. So let's see what intro. Oh, we got an intro. Let's do it. I'm gonna first. Actually, we'll sort all this in a minute. But if you want to come up, you're more than welcome to. I'm so excited. It seems my videos are kind of gaining some traction, which I'm excited about. So here we go. It seems my videos are kind of gaining some traction, which I'm excited about. So here we go. It seems my videos. Perfection. All right, let's get into it. So, Kandi from Real Housewives of Atlanta has filed for divorce from her husband, Todd Tucker, of 11 years. Now, I remember watching Real Housewives of Atlanta 11 years ago. I would have been 30. So 11 years ago, of course, I was tuned into the Real Housewives of Atlanta. I remember when they met I think they were in South Africa. They met on a trip out of the country. So the girls took a group trip from the Real Housewives of Atlanta. I think all of the girls went, even Marlo. And they went to South Africa. Todd was on the production team of the show, and Todd and Kandi ended up in a match. See, this is what I don't like. I don't know why. I've been charging this microphone for quite some time, and I hope y'all are still getting good volume from wherever the microphone is picking up from. Anyway, so what happened was, I'm going to turn this off. It didn't seem to be doing much anyway. So what happened was Todd and Kandi met through the show. He was an assistant producer, which could just really mean assistant, like running to get snacks and water and making sure fridges are stocked and trailers are prepped and ready for the girls. Travel arrangements. It doesn't mean you're actually part of the show. right? So we don't exactly know what his title, his level, his earnings were. But I remember them discussing that Kandi and Todd had kind of linked up and were seeing each other. And Phaedra had credited herself to introducing the couple. Before they met, Kandi was Kandi. Of course, she was cast on the show, so she must have had some means, some income, and she had a daughter and a mother. I don't want to miss that part, and a mother. Because when it comes to dating down, when you look at someone like Kandi, you have to think about you have the means, the income, the power, the influence to make it to a show like Real Housewives of Atlanta. You must be set in some kind of way. And you're a single woman, single mother, you're set. And so we start to kind of veil, where's Kandi's money coming from? Kandi's a huge songwriter for the likes of Destiny Child and what is the name? TLC, right? So Kandi has some accolades, and she was part of a huge 90s girl group called Escape. So Kandi had money. Todd was working a 9-to-5. Would Kandi have dated Todd had it not be for outside influence? That is the question. So, like I said, Phaedra, one of the other women on the show, had kind of given herself kudos. Like, I introduced them. I'm so excited that they're talking. Kandi's found her mate. And now look at this, 11 years later. What I will say is I've never seen in all of my life, and I watch relationships, I watch engagements, I watch marriages, because I'm just a people watcher and I'm very curious. I have never in all of my days seen a Black woman have a successful relationship in which she has dated or married down. It does not work. And there's no work. There isn't a like standout story for that. It just is what it is. Black women are not having relationship outcomes overall that are favorable to them. But when you add Black women having this tendency to date down instead of being single, you have a much larger issue. And what I've said from back when I was dating and getting married is if he's not providing for you, he's preying on you. And now we got a man like Todd who, after cheating or allegedly cheating, and Kandi saying she's had to deal with it for months and put on a brave face, but she knew about the cheating months ago. What you have now is a man who is looking to take full custody of the children and to get spousal and child support from this woman. He also wants to throw out the prenup, which protects Kandi's money before him. Right? So this is why I say to Black women, be single before you be the breadwinner. And Ebony K. Williams was on Carlos King last night, and she expressed that in all of her days with all of her friends, she has seen this a number of times over and over. It just is what it is. And I'm going to tell you how it all links together. It all links together because Black women have a undying loyalty to date Black men. And Black women have an undying loyalty to date Black American men. I have seen it firsthand. Now, I am a divorcee, but I did not marry a Black American man. I also did not marry a man that could not provide for me. I have never been in a long-term relationship where I was the higher earner or I was the breadwinner, because I understand the dynamic. Like Ebony explained last night. Ebony explained last night that once you get into a relationship like this, please be prepared on the other end to take an L. It is what it is. I will say, okay, if Black women are in relationships with a man who's a provider and Black women are excelling above the normal rate of any other demographic as far as education, entrepreneurship, income, home ownership, etc. Black women who excel in these spaces still shouldn't be the breadwinner, because at least if you walk away from a divorce, or you walk away with a divorce or the ending of a relationship, you can walk away like this. But when you're the breadwinner in the relationship, trust me, you'll never be able to split like this. You'll split like this, and this is him. And you'll be here and you'll climb, but he's going to walk away with a better lifestyle than you are. And then you're going to look back and see how much you actually lost in that situation. It happens time and time again. This is why when Ebony K. Williams said she would not date the bus driver, people were so upset, because people are expecting for Black men to always have something to fall back on. Black men always need to have a woman who will house them, clothe them, feed them, in a patriarchy that they want to blame for other things, but also want to willingly participate in. Right? So Black men will blame the patriarchy on why they can't be good fathers, why they can't find lucrative jobs, why they can't get higher education, why they can't have, happy relationships. They blame white male patriarchy on this. But when it comes to their relationships with Black women, Black children, their Black families, they use that same white male patriarchy to their advantage. That was a word, so I wanted to sip my water. So what you'll find is, when women like Ebony K. Williams, who is a lawyer with a TV show, huge social media platforms, a lot of popularity on as a talking head, basically, right? When she says something like, I don't want to date the bus driver, and she has the visibility that she has, they ate her up, or tried to. She still made the smartest decision by not dating the bus driver. Because people were like, well, bus drivers make six figures. Okay, she's earning $500,000. Bus drivers making six figures as a bus driver is not the norm. You're talking about some outlandish scenario for people that maybe live in New York City and have been bus drivers for 20 plus years, or in Chicago and have been bus drivers for 30 plus years. You're not talking about the men that she would, in her age bracket, dating range, whatever. You're talking about men that probably make 60 to 80. And at that time, this was 4 or 5 years ago, she was still over $500,000 a year. Why is it that Black women have to always humble themselves after hard work, dedication, achievement, goals, education, like everything Black women have earned, aspired to do, raised children, survived layoff, survived divorce, survived betrayal, that they still must humble themselves to be a doormat? Humble yourself, because why wouldn't you let me earn less than you and come into your life and you and I split everything? Humble yourself, because you shouldn't have gone and got all that education. Now you're smarter than me and make more than me and can get better jobs than me. You need to humble yourself, or I'll never be with you. Oh no, you won't be with me? Like, that is not a punishment. So if you don't know, I'll refresh everybody's memory. Ebony K. Williams, a few years ago, was talking with Iyanla Vanzant, who is a pick-me, who is a problematic pick-me. Iyanla Vanzant panders to Black men whenever she has the opportunity. She coddles and panders to Black men whenever she has the opportunity. So Iyanla is not a voice in my community that I trust. So when Iyanla and Ebony K. Williams had this chat, Ebony K. Williams made it very clear that I've accomplished so much, I'm not going to date the bus driver. And when that made its rounds, everyone was so very upset and disturbed by it. So what I understood from that was, no, I've accomplished so much. I've done so much. I'm not going to do it. And she made a point last night to even say when she went through her pregnancy, she was very adamant. She wanted an anonymous donor because she would end up like the Sherri Shepherds, the Kandi Burrusses of the world, the Yandy Smiths. Because let's not forget about Yandy. Yandy dated down and married down. If they're legally married, I don't know. Yandy dated down as well. And now Yandy is going through her own humiliation ritual. Kandi dated down. She is now going through her own humiliation ritual. Sherri Shepherd dated down. She went through her own humiliation ritual. Hey, what's up? Thank you so much for hanging out, tuning in. I'm finally back. But if you talk about all of the successful Black women who didn't even marry their equals, and I am talking exclusively financially. I don't want to lean into he's a good person, they're good people, they do this, they do whatever. I'm talking about financially because we have to stop pretending at this big age that marriage isn't a financial bond as well. So we have to talk about marriage because most people do exit them. Marriages aren't successful by nature. Marriages end in divorce more often than not, right? So if we talk about marriage in a realistic term, and you're marrying somebody who doesn't do as well as you financially, expecting to be one of the ones that beat the odds, especially as a Black woman, it's never going to end well for you. And everybody has their different opinion on what is well, what is end well. But if you look at somebody like a Portia Williams, and I'm not saying she is anybody's role model, but if you look at Portia Williams, and although there are rumors that her husband Simon wasn't as financially well off as they purported him to be, he's not a billionaire, maybe a millionaire. She ended up with the house, the alimony, staying in the home, possibly splitting equity he had already invested into the home. You know what I mean? Regardless of his trickery and trying to put extra liens and stuff on the deed. What happened was Portia ended up with more than she left with. Although we can talk about the headache, the stress, the drama, the embarrassment, the cheating, etc. But if we have this conversation and make it exclusively about finances, Portia married up somebody who made more money than her, and she ended up with what she wanted. Maybe a Bentley and a house is not important to you, but if we talk about finances, Portia did better than Kandi would do when she walks away. And at the end of the day, we all want to walk away with health and wealth. So if you look at somebody like me, I was ready to exit the divorce. I needed to get out. I married someone who made more than me, double what I made. And I was able to make a clean break, right? He took care of my legal fees. I walked away with the house being sold and we splitting whatever the equity was. I was able to walk away without losing. I mean, of course, I lost the relationship, but I'm, again, speaking exclusively in financial terms. If you date and marry down, you will always, especially as a woman, there's always humiliation and embarrassment behind it. It is what it is. And that's not to shame Black men, but what I will say is that Black men as a group, collectively, not individually, collectively, Black men don't do well in relationships and marriages. They have higher divorce rates than any other group of people. Men, and they have higher rates of the women exiting the marriage. I think that might be across the board though, but Black men have the highest divorce rates when married to every demographic. And Black men don't seemingly have the discipline and the emotional maturity and the ability to take accountability to make marriages and relationships successful. I've often had conversations with these Black men, the same ones that I'm talking about. I've had these conversations, and there is a lack of ownership of anything. Of anything. I remember when I started to date again, and what really pulled me off the market is I'm going to have a conversation with you guys about let me keep my business out of it. But I will tell you, there was something that happened when I was watching a show. And this woman said she was doing some research for her final thesis, and that she went into red pill spaces for Black men, the manosphere. And she was letting them present their take on relationships and arguments and relationships with women, and how women behave and how women are reacting. And she said she would go into these spaces and would not rebut or refute their points. She just wanted to let them talk. And she said it was absolutely disturbing, the messaging that is in there, how sick it is, and filled with men who are angry, violent, and men who don't believe anything that women are saying is wrong with their behavior in relationships. And I thought that was very interesting as well. Because if you're telling me that the majority of men that are getting some bits and pieces of this content, and obviously easily can be converted, right? Because I think that is if you think about that, is the objective of this administration, is to reduce education, reduce cognitive reasoning, and turn men into brutes, women into, what is a term that I could use? Women into property. And you have men who are absorbing content, even in small bits. If you're not actually going to YouTube or Patreon to open a podcast, maybe you are just getting it in doses, in doses, in doses, in doses. And you're also getting, on top of the red pill pieces of content, you're also getting women who are always beautiful, always done up, always at dinner, always on a vacation, buying a house, in a fancy car, getting their hair done, getting their nails done, not understanding that this is, a 30-second video of their life, not their entire life. But if that's all you're giving, is women are having an amazing time, and men blaming all of their problems on these same women, and an administration who doesn't want you to think, you have a perfect storm for men who will not behave or perform well in relationships. Because let's be honest, discipline is all mental. There are things we all can do. Every one of us can do, if you have the mental fortitude to enact discipline over your life, a routine. But Black men seem to be the hardest to have said discipline. And I'm basing this exclusively on statistics. The divorce rate, the way they constantly online are bashing women. You don't have the emotional maturity to ever stop. I've had conversations with people where there is no like, okay, you know what? Maybe y'all are right. No. I mean, for years, it has been this same old choose better from the male red pill community. And I'm like, I'm talking Black American because I am a Black American. From the Black American manosphere, there's always been, for years, choose better. There are small pockets of the very educated, brilliant men that I follow who are now saying, y'all are the problem. Stop pretending. And I see other men who are like, stop pretending it's not true what women are saying. Those are small doses. Like one, Deontay Kyle, Fatal Pros, who I follow on TikTok. Fatal Pros is another one. They do have messaging that is different, but the overall messaging is still choose better. No matter how vile, no matter how violent, no matter how reprehensible the crime that is committed or the sin or the act that is committed against the woman, it's always choose better. And this has been going on for years. You can come up, click the link in the comments if you want to come up and have a discussion or you dispute what I'm saying. But for years, the victim blaming has been one message. And Black men who I speak to, or not even speak to, I don't have many conversations with men about this, but because it's like talking to a brick wall. Like every conversation, you're going up against a brick wall. When you have conversations with them, it's you should have chosen better. But if you have women who are online, and you can follow this yourself, if you go on like a TikTok and you say women who are saying they're pro-choice and they're choosing to not have a, long life-term relationship with this person and choosing to terminate their whatever, you know what I'm talking about. Women that are pro-choice are on TikTok and men are saying X, Y, and Z. She's making a better choice, but it's still a victim blame. There is nothing, and that's how you know there isn't any cognitive reasoning in there. Because nothing is saying, okay, I can see it that way. And I think that is really where you can differentiate between intelligence and lack thereof. Because I know that I'm an intelligent woman, and what makes me intelligent is that I'm always curious about points of view. I'm always open to dialogue and conversation that isn't just brute unintelligence, right? If I'm open to hearing what you have to say, but you're not open to saying anything different or hearing anything different or acknowledging different points of views, then I know that there is an issue that doesn't involve the other party. I'm trying to get some better lighting because it's getting dark outside. Sorry, guys. But if you don't have the willingness to hear anyone out, nobody wants to have a conversation with you. So you get this male loneliness epidemic, which people are now pretending is fake. But there are people who have lucrative businesses talking about how men are failing at everything. And the only reason, and I'm going to be honest, the only reason men are failing at everything, seemingly, I don't know, maybe there's a master plan that you guys have that will come into fruition soon. But if men are seemingly failing at everything, then they need to be open to dialogue, and they're not. It's like I'm failing and I'm plugging my ears because I don't care. And that's where you get women who are across social media like, I'm checked out, I'm not interested. And then men are still like, oh, you women are, I mean, it's just like, even with, if you look at a Meg Thee Stallion, it's every Black woman. If you look at Meg Thee Stallion and Tory Lanez, why was she there? Why was she there? If you had never been with somebody that has absolutely nothing to lose, and I'm not victim blaming, but I'm saying Black women, you have to stop dating down and marrying down. There are no success stories in there. In that subgroup of women who do the dating down and the marrying down, there aren't success stories at all, ever. And if women say, oh, I dated my husband and he's not, you're not at your stop yet, sis. You're still on the train, sister. You got about 4 more stops. You got about 4 more stops. And this is widespread. That's why women like me can wake up, because my mother and her mother were informative women. They didn't gatekeep. They said these things out loud. My mother was smart. She never attached herself to somebody that could not provide for her. My mother owns properties free and clear. When you decenter men, in general, women usually live a more healthy, fruitful, lucrative life. If you don't decenter men, at least date up. At least date up. And I'm not talking about gold digging, because I know a lot of people will say, oh, that's a gold digger. That's not a gold digger. Because at our age, we have to understand and be realistic. This is a financial bond. And when you start to, pardon me, this is a financial bond. And once you start to have inside, okay, let's big picture this. Marriage is a financial bond, or let's call it a bubble. Inside of the financial bond, let's say there are like atoms that bounce around. And the atoms that are bouncing around that can impede and impact and explode this bubble are all the human characteristics. And I think that's a great analogy that people may not want to hear, is that marriage is a financial balloon, and inside are the human characteristics that can impede and explode and implode your balloon. Like cheating, like health, like a cancer diagnosis, like a side baby, right? So those stressors can start to wither away at the balloons, whatever, you know what I'm trying to say, like the material of the balloon. It can like start to wither it down. And those things will make your marriage implode or explode. And then once you're trying to get out of it, it has nothing to do with everything inside of the balloon that made it explode in the first place. Once you're trying to get out of it, once you're trying to get out of this balloon, you realize, oh, this is all financial. This is all a financial bind. Because the judge doesn't care how many side babies he had. The state, let's say the state, or the county rather, the county doesn't care how many side babies he had. The county doesn't care about your cancer diagnosis. The county doesn't care that he never helped you with the dishes. The county doesn't care that she spent all your money on gambling. None of that matters. What will matter is that huge bubble that contained all of the shit inside of the marriage. But the marriage is all financial. Please understand that the marriage is all financial. Only the things inside matter to you and your spouse. But the county, the court, the judge, the mediators, nobody cares about those human elements. People are trying to figure out the finances. So if we're realistic at the end, let's be realistic at the beginning. We're realistic about the financial bind at the end, the financial ties at the end. Be realistic about the financial ties from the beginning. If you're going into a marriage with a prenup, God bless you. But you should never be entering a marriage with somebody that, as a woman, as a Black woman, you should never be entering a marriage in which somebody makes less than you, period. Period. And I'm not talking about $10,000. I'm talking about Candy's a millionaire. Todd's making $60K a year. Did you not think that this man would be preying on you at some point? Did you not think you were the prey at some point, that this dynamic would shift and you're the millionaire? He's making $60K a year and you're paying for surrogate babies. Like, be for real. This makes absolutely no sense to me. But I don't think it's supposed to, because I would never find myself in this situation. You know why? Because I've always preached that you should be single before you be the breadwinner. The biggest, I'm sorry, how did I forget? The biggest one of all, Mariah Carey. I'm sorry, Wendy Williams. Is Wendy Williams not our biggest example? Is Sherri Shepherd not next in line? Hello? Look at all the Black women that dated and married down. Iyanla Vanzant, Wendy Williams, Sherri Shepherd. Who was next? I'm sorry. I'm trying to think of the name we were just talking about. Oh, Kandi and Todd. Like, are we not? Are we not? Are we not all checked in? Wendy Williams nearly killed herself trying to keep that man in her home and in her life. Trying to keep that man in her home and in her life. Kandi did the same thing. Trying to keep that man in her home, in her life. She was out having threesomes, picking up women, paying for surrogate babies. Dr. Jackie and her husband, wasn't her husband taking a flight with someone else? So let's think about it. Wendy Williams, Kandi, Yandy, Sherri Shepherd, who, I forget who I just named, but the list goes on and on and on. There are no success stories. And like I said, if you're a Black woman who's dating and marrying down, there's not a success story for you either, sister. You're just not at your train stop yet. But your stop is coming, sister. All of these women have the same outcome, and you're not lucky number 736,323 that just happens to be beating the odds. No, sister. It is coming for you. It is coming, and as ominous as it sounds, nobody can escape the wrath of dating and marrying down. Period. It's inescapable. So I really thank you guys for hanging out with me. I'm very excited to see how this all plays out. Oh, another one. I'm sorry. I don't even want to say it. I don't even want to say it. But there are no success stories. There are zero success stories when you date and marry down. You are left with nothing. Nothing of benefit. Not that you're wiped clean of money, but you're left with nothing of benefit. Nothing but regret. Right? And don't let outside societal pressures pressure you into thinking that you have to do this. Phaedra dated and married down. Apollo. Yandy is being embarrassed by Mendices and Tamar right now. Dating and marrying down. I don't know of any success stories, and all I do with my free time is people watch and relationship watch. Not to be nosy, but because I am a brilliant mind who is very curious about all aspects of the human life and behavior of humans. And one thing we can't escape is our behavior. And our behavior is so much more influenced by our environment, AKA our culture, than anything else. So if you ever do some research and studies on child behavior, most prominent researchers will tell you that no matter how great of a parent you are, the environment that your children go into on a day-to-day basis is more influential than you will ever be. The environment, the school, and the children around your child are more influential than you will ever be as a good parent. Isn't that interesting to know? It's the same thing for adults. The culture and nature. Let's go back a little bit. If you think about Nigerian culture, the culture and nature is to be married. I'm talking about exclusively relationships. Men are providers. Men marry. But the culture is a patriarchy. So although men marry and provide, they do whatever they want without consequence, because their patriarchy is different than our patriarchy. Because the women uphold their patriarchy even more so than we do here in the States. That is what I mean when I say your culture is a bigger influence on your behavior than anything else. So if you follow the culture of Black American men, does that, I don't know. I just thank you all for being here. This has been a great stream. I'm so glad we were able to talk about it. I am so excited to continue to watch how this all plays out with Kandi and Todd. He's going to get the prenup thrown out. Based on the footage that Bravo has, based on the footage that Kandi is trying to give to Bravo, it looks like Todd is going to successfully have that prenup thrown out. Todd, after benefiting from the work that this woman does, is now saying that she has always been too busy to raise her own children. So he deserves and would now like full custody. There is a constant state of embarrassment and humiliation and overperforming that gets you absolutely nowhere when you date and marry down. So although I feel bad for Kandi, I wish that, she would have listened to her mother. And I was talking to my good girlfriend the other day because Mama Joyce, who is Kandi's mother, during this whole Real Housewives of Atlanta thing, Mama Joyce was always telling Kandi, don't marry this man. You're making a fool of yourself. You're going to regret it. 11 years later, I just told my friend the other day, I just told my good girlfriend the other day, one thing about life, your mama always be right about them people. No matter who those people are, your mama be right. Now, I'm sure Mama Joyce is just happy to get it done and let that man be out of their lives and off of her daughter's money. But it's only at the beginning now. We're at the beginning. So I want you all just to be very, very smart in your dealings as women. Understand that at the end of a marriage, finances are the only thing that matters, even when it comes to children. Finances are the only thing that matters. So if it matters at the end, it should matter at the beginning. Be smart about who you date. Be smart about, have you ever dated a broke man? Now, I'm 42. So the last time I dated somebody that was truly broke, I would say 20 years ago. And I understood, because I'm a smart woman. I understood. Let me hide this comment. Because I am such a brilliant woman, and I truly do study human behavior. Being a brilliant woman who studies human behavior, I knew that I probably would not have successful relationships with my own men. I like education. I like discipline. I like culture. I like having conversations. And I knew that that would be tough for me in my own culture and community, because there were certain values that culturally aren't pushed on our men, like discipline, like education, like hard work, like earning and being a good father, a good man. Like, this wasn't pushed on our culture. I'm not saying that this is the individual's fault. I'm saying this is something that just exists. It is what it is. It is the truth. So the fact of the matter is that I can't blame all of the flaws that are happening in the Black male community on Black men. It is culturally pushed on them to simply be, it's all intended. And I guess we can get into another conversation about this at another time. But everything that they suffer from now, it was intentional. It was intentional. And now they're exactly what you would expect that person to be if that's how they're brought up. But the problem with that is you have to start to recognize your flaws at some point. You have to start to make corrections at some point. We can blame society. We can blame our parents. We can blame racism. We can blame everything. But, that's just like when I see people talk about weight loss. Yeah, we can blame everything, but in true definition, a calorie deficit and moving our body, no matter how small, is a factor. Okay, you caught me right before I left. Thank you, Mackie. Do you believe that college-educated Black women with professional careers should exclusively date and marry men within their socioeconomic class and on their education level? Absolutely. 100% without question. And if they're not, and because there is a huge gap in every Black woman will not have a partner that meets my standard, right? Every Black woman will not have a Black male partner that will meet what I expect Black women to date. But that's fine, because I think Black women should never be the breadwinners and should be single if they're not able to find exactly what they want. And that's because I'm not going to pretend that marriage lasts forever. I'm going into it thinking that this may be doomed, because I am a very Black and white person. I am, and it may be because I am a Gemini. I'm a very Black and white person. The likelihood is that this marriage will fail, and you should treat it from the beginning as if that's possible and have as much fun as you can in the middle. But at the beginning and at the end, you need to treat it like a business. Yes, every college-educated Black woman with professional careers who earn a ton of money and have upward mobility like we've never seen should have that at the forefront of their brains when they date and marry, period. Because you will take a loss if you don't. You will take a loss. And it's not even that you'll take a loss, right? So the loss part, you know, I was lucky to have somebody pay my lawyer fees. But the loss part in a divorce is that, what was I going to say? I forgot what I was going to say. Oh, here we go. So I was lucky enough to have someone pay my lawyer fees, and then my ex-husband was offsetting any other money that I spent in the process. But when you're a Black woman like Candy, when you're a Black woman like Wendy Williams, Sherri Shepherd, what's this lady's name? Dr. Jackie. When you're a Black woman that has, means like these women do, and not that Dr. Jackie and Curtis have said anything about divorce, but when you're a Black woman that has means like they do, you're not only losing money, you're losing money to someone who hates you. Because in the divorce, that is not your husband. That is not the man you married. That is your arch nemesis. And as you go through the divorce process, you'll start to see and realize, oh my God. And if you're somebody that's in the eye of social media like Candy and Todd, there's going to be clips played that people are going to dissect. And you probably will catch one or two of them. Or there are going to be, when you're in the public eye, there are going to be women to publish the DMs. There are going to be women that will start posting their pictures or DNA tests or whatever else. So not only are you taking an L to this failed relationship that you're likely glazing over the real big problems, but you're going to lose money to someone that never liked you. Never liked you, saw you as an opportunity. Even when my husband and I first met, I can talk even about women who aren't college educated and or in a JD, lawyer, doctor, masters. I can talk about those women. Those women, when you start to move a man into your home, you can go on TikTok on your phone right now and see the turmoil of getting a man out of your home. A ton of damage, a ton of violence, and a ton of regret. Or God forbid worse. Or God forbid worse. But you will never see these women in situations where they're happy with their decision. And there are other women that I could talk about. There are a lot of Black successful influencers. There are a lot of Black successful female YouTubers who have these men riding their back. Riding their backs. And like I said, there's always regret at the end. If it hasn't happened yet, your train stop is coming. And God forbid you be with Kevin Williams, Wendy Williams' ex-husband. How long was Wendy Williams married to Kevin? My God, it was 21 years. 21 years she built her empire with a man who hated her. 21 years. And I will tell you now, there are huge Black female YouTubers who have men riding their backs. And 20 years from now, my God, because I care about Black women, not because I'm a pessimist, not because I don't want even love for myself, not that I don't want to remarry. I'm a brilliant woman who looks at the numbers, who looks at human behavior, who understands statistics, who understands culture, environment, and what it takes to succeed in a relationship. And it's really easy. It's really easy to succeed in a relationship. It takes discipline. And what is the biggest thing that lacks in our Black American community for males? That's a question you can answer yourself. What is the biggest thing that Black American males lack, that is holding them back from success? It's discipline. So, and you know why it's so hard to hear, because I care about Black American men as well. Like, these aren't like just castaways. These are people that I care about. So when I have to say that Black American men lack the discipline needed to be successful in relationships, it is hurtful to hear, even for me. But the truth is the truth. And a lie doesn't help anyone. But God forbid these women spend let them get themselves together. I don't see what the rush is. There's no need to rush into a relationship with someone that you absolutely know. Pardon me, if this is the mic that's being used right now, I don't know. If this is someone that you absolutely know is not going to benefit you, What is the rush? I've seen it far too often. There's a Black female YouTuber right now, huge girl with a bunch of potential, dated down, is in a court case. There's a huge, what's that TikTok star's name? Now she's a hot mess. Brene was on her way to stardom with her weird, quirky TikTok fingernails and mukbangs, and moved her husband out to move her best friend's husband in, dating down. Now you owe that lady, I don't even know what the judgment was, $1 million for alienation of affection and breaking up their marriage. There is no benefit to dating down. Not one. Not one. I like for somebody to find me one. And God forbid you're a Black woman that ends up like Wendy Williams, 21 years with a man that hated you. Or like Candy, 11 years with a man that hated you. Because if we go back and watch the footage and you dissect it, you will see all the times that Todd expressed his disdain for her and that he was there for the money. For the money. God forbid you're a Yandy and you support this poor man through jail, through baby mamas, through child support, and now through public humiliation. God forbid you're a Sherry Shepherd and paying child support to a man that never worked. I would just like to know if anyone here can just give me the benefit of dating and marrying down, because there isn't one. And there isn't one Black woman on this earth who's going to be lucky and win from dating and marrying down. Well, I'm so glad that we had this conversation, Mackie. Thank you always for being supportive. I am so glad to see you every time I come on. You're amazing. I hope you all have an amazing weekend. Happy holidays. I'll be back. Hopefully it's Saturday, so maybe I'll come back tomorrow. All right. Bye, guys. Kisses and hugs. I miss you all. Take care.